want to talk to you guys today about Mark Zuckerberg. You may have heard of him. And Katarina Fake, the founder of Flickr. And David Karp, the founder of Tumblr. And the drunk college students that tore down the Berlin Wall. And the young women and men who are revolutionizing Egypt as we speak. And the kids that are convincing their parents to quit smoking and leading the anti-tobacco movement. I want to talk about young people and why they get involved in different causes that they care about. So DoSomething.org is the largest organization for young people in social change. And we exist because we know that 93% of young people say that they want to do something. But we don't actually see that happen. And it's not because they don't have that motivation or they're lazy or they don't want to, but it's because they don't feel like they have a clear, simple call to action to get involved in those causes that they care about. So we want this guy. We want the 17-year-old male with the cheese pizza on his face. He just got home. He's probably playing Halo. He's not a slacker, but he's not necessarily what we would call a president. He's more of a follower, which usually means we get about a 15-year-old girl, just because they mature faster. No offense, guys. And so, as Tosh said, our rules are that we don't require money. We're never going to ask young people for donations or for money. We don't assume that they have a car, and we don't say, okay, great, just get your mom to sign this form, and then you can come get involved in social change. So we don't require a car, an adult, or money to get involved in our campaigns. And we really do sort of want to be their gateway drug to volunteering. We want them to just try a little bit, just get a little taste of it, just do one action, just do anything, do something, and sort of get hooked on volunteerism. So let's talk about the top issues for what people care about. Each year, we do a national survey where we ask hundreds of thousands of young people why they care about causes, what they do to volunteer, and what their motivations are. And these are the top issues that they care about. So puppies and little girls are always going to go together. That's just a great rule to know for life. Animal welfare is their top cause. Second to that is hunger, and then you have homelessness, the environment, and surprisingly, the economy, which this year made the top 5 list. They're very cognizant of what's going on in the world around them. And we see these top issues affect change each year. So this is probably the only time you're going to see the Northeast and the South together on a map. But basically, this is sort of mapped out, the causes that young people care about. So you see the West Coast, they're focused on homelessness. And the Northeast and the South, it's more about animal welfare. And the Midwest is focused on hunger. So let's go into, okay, we know that these are some causes that young people care about. We know that they actually do care. How do you activate them around a cause? So, shocking statistic, actually 1 in 3 of the youth, and 1 in 3 of the homeless in America are under the age of 18. And so we knew that homelessness was a serious issue, and we also knew that it was something, going back to that list, it's one of their top causes that they care about. So we called a bunch of homeless shelters, and we said, what's the number one thing a young person asks for when they come in your shelter? And it wasn't a phone, it wasn't food, it wasn't a bed, it was denim, a pair of jeans. I mean, think about it. You can wear your jeans 2 to 3 times a week, which if you're me, it's like 4 times a week, and get away with it. And it's just something that every teenager has. It's a way to sort of blend in and just have a sense of normalcy. So we created a campaign called Teens for Jeans, essentially where we asked young people not to save the world, not to end homelessness, but just take a pair of lightly worn jeans from your closet and donate them at your local Aeropostale store. And then from there, the Aeropostale store donated them to their local shelters. So why did this work? It was a cause that we knew they cared about. It was something they told us, like, we care about homelessness. We're going to go to your website and read about it. It was one of the #1 traffic drivers to our site. And it had a local impact. So that's sort of a more traditional campaign, and that's a campaign we've been doing for 5 years. Last year we collected 1 million pairs of jeans. It was the biggest year we've ever done. And it was, again, more of that focusing on the traditional reasons for volunteering. The feel good, you're donating to your local shelter. But in our national survey this year, we asked teens, what's the #1 reason that you volunteer? And the feel-good, like, I want to have an impact, I volunteer, I love it, that still holds true. But actually the reason, and this is an animated GIF, so it'll be online later, but actually the number one reason that young people volunteer is because it's social, because their friends are doing it. So shockingly, 76% of young people whose friends volunteer are more likely to volunteer, as opposed to those who don't have friends that volunteer. Only 41% of those young people are going to volunteer. So it really is, volunteering for teens is like a party. They don't want to be the first one to show up. They're going to make the decision probably at the last minute. They're not going to cut the cake first. They're not going to stay the latest. It's really about making friends or going with your friends and blending in, and social good being sort of a byproduct of that. So just to give another example of how we harness that social aspect of volunteerism, another campaign we run each year called The Hunt essentially is an 11-day scavenger hunt, where we say, hey, young people, here's 11 different challenges around different causes for 11 days. And we distribute that via email and text messaging, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. But this year we said, okay, let's up the ante a little bit, and instead of just saying you can do this campaign with us and go do these challenges on your own, we actually used text messaging to allow teens to create teams and join teams so that they could do the hunt as a group. So I could text Marco through Do Something, through our website, and say, hey, join my team for the hunt. And anytime I did something and Marco did something, I could collect 3 cans and Marco could collect 6 cans. Those points would accrue online, and our team would show up online as a group that we did this together. So just really harnessing that social aspect of volunteerism, and then also harnessing the fact that this is the channel, the medium that they're on. So let's talk about text messaging. It's my favorite thing to talk about. I manage mobile at Do Something, and I'm just so excited about the impact that it can have on young people. And the data actually shows us that young people who text are 13% more likely to volunteer. And we think it's because of that social network. And volunteerism actually varies across the different type of communication channel a young person uses. So 55% of young people who communicate face-to-face volunteer. And the second biggest group is not people who communicate online, it's young people who text. So 52% of young people who text volunteer. And we really do think it goes back to the fact that they are uber connected, and they do have those social networks. And this actually spans across low-income and high-income families. So it's not just saying, okay, Marah, that's silly because if I'm high-income, I have a cell phone and I'm texting, and volunteer opportunities are available to me. That is true. However, text messaging actually over-indexes for minority and urban youth. So this is the group that we're finding actually is volunteering more, the group that is focused on using their phone. And teens text a lot, like a lot. Does anybody in here want to guess how many text messages a young person texts a month? 1,000? 500? 3,000? Let's say. 5,010. 5,010. And if you're a girl, it's about 6,000. And if you're my little sister, it's like 7,000. It's insane. I mean, and if any of you use email in here to engage your youth, you know that it has about a 9 to 12% open rate, especially for young people. Text messaging has a 97% open rate. You could text your daughter, tell her to come home for dinner, she may not text you back, but she's reading that text message. She's getting it. They read every single text message they get. So a light bulb went on for us, and we realized that we had to harness the power of text messaging to engage youth. So just to go into another case study, 1 in 3 young women in the US will become pregnant before the age of 20. 20. And that's 1 in 3. So again, we saw that this is the number one, a really big traffic driver to our site, that young people were coming to read about teen pregnancy. So that's one, identifying that it's a cause that they care about. And a lot of the marketing towards teen pregnancy was focused on young women. It was saying, hey, girls, don't get pregnant or you're going to die. You're going to die. Your world, it's going to be over, your world's going to end. And we're not that organization. We're not going to tell you that your life is going to end if you get pregnant. But we are going to really focus on those immediate impacts. So if you get pregnant, you're not going to be able to fit into your prom dress next week. And you're not going to be able to go out tonight because you're going to have to stay home and change diapers. And we actually didn't want to target girls because arguably this guy is at least 50% of the problem, if not more. At least, maybe, arguably 60 to 70. So we basically said, hey girls, come to our website, give us at least 5 of your guy friends' phone numbers, and we will send them a text baby for a day. How many of you remember Tamagotchis? Or egg babies, flower babies? A few? Yeah, so this was the idea. It was annoying. It was an annoying baby starting at 6:30 a.m., going all day, saying, okay, I sharted, I'm awake. Are you awake? I'm awake. Lunchtime, I'm hungry. Are you hungry? It's time to feed me. And what's cool about this is we actually beta tested this with a group we call our Youth Advisory Council. We just sort of bounce ideas off of them and say, hey, what do you think of this? And the first iteration of this, they were like, I kind of forgot about it throughout the day. I think we had like 6 text messages going out at the time. And they said when I texted back, nothing happened. It was just sort of there. So we're like, okay, we'll take that challenge. So we doubled the amount of text messages that went out, and it was 12 messages throughout the day. And we made the system smart so that you could actually text the baby back and interact with it. And what we saw was insane. So we expected maybe 15,000 young people to do this. 101,000 young people impregnated their phones. In 4 weeks. In 4 weeks. We also saw that every 10 seconds, we were getting an unsolicited text message in our mobile inbox. Every 10 seconds. We never asked a question. We never said, how do you feel about this baby? We just said, I'm hungry, are you hungry, or feed me. And teens were texting back saying, you're a devil, baby, and shut up, baby. It was amazing. So my favorite statistic from this campaign is that afterwards, 1 in 2 teens were more likely to talk about teen pregnancy with their friends and family, which the CDC directly correlates to decreasing the rates of teen pregnancy. Amazing. And 1 in 2 of them actually also said that it was harder to have a baby than they thought, just by doing this day-long texting experience. Just text messaging. So let's go back to sort of a checklist of if you want to engage young people, and if you really want them to get involved in different causes that they care about, the first part is just making it social. So going back to the fact that volunteering is like a microcosm of a young person's social life. They don't want to be first, they don't want to be last, they don't necessarily want to stand out, they want to blend in. And they don't necessarily want to make a huge commitment either. They just want a simple call to action. The second thing, making it accessible is so important. So our rules are that you don't have to have a car, money, or an adult. What are your rules? How can you make what you do more accessible to the young people that you want to get involved? How can you make it easier for them to just do one simple thing? Third is that it's a cause they care about. This is so important. If we just went out there and we said, hey guys, we really want you guys to collect 1 million cans this year because, aluminum is a problem, and we know it's a problem, and we just want you to do that, so can you do that? It's so much different than when you get them to participate and you get them to raise their hand and say, hey, I care about homelessness, actually, or I care about puppies. How can I do something about puppies? So letting them identify that it's a cause that they care about and then building experiences for them around that. Spotlight free is really important. They don't want to be the center of attention. And I will say, do something 5 years ago, we created these campaigns where we were just highlighting what we would call the presidents. We were, featuring them on our website all the time. We were like, look how good this person is. They started a club and it has 30 people at their high school. We had to stop doing that. They weren't into that. They wanted to just be with their friends and be a part of a group. They didn't want to be highlighted and put up on a pedestal above everyone else. It's really just about fitting in and being part of that group. And then focusing on the fact that volunteerism can be beneficial for the volunteer as well. So we incentivize a lot of our campaigns with scholarships, because we know that that's a huge pain point for high schoolers, is getting into college. So if you're building experiences around different volunteer opportunities and you're giving away free t-shirts and you're trying to target high school students, maybe save that money and offer a small scholarship to pay for books for college and translate that into their pain points. Really try and realize and recognize what issues are important to them and what their pain points are right now. So sometimes social change is a bonus. Young people aren't necessarily involved with Do Something because they're obsessed with the certain cause that they're passionate about. It's for all these other reasons. They need money to pay for school, and they enjoy doing it with their friends, and they're happier and they're more engaged from it. And sometimes the bonus is that they actually helped someone. They actually did something, just that one thing. So at Do Something, we end all of our presentations with Ryan Gosling, so you're welcome. Thank you.